Hello everyone. So today we're going to be going over the fractionated Morse cipher. So before we go over it, I have to tell you four rules or things that we need to follow while doing the cipher. So first, uh, as a part of your Science Olympiad test, you're going to be given the Morse code reference sheet, and so there's a difference between the Morse code sheet that they give you and the actual fractionated Morse code, and the main thing is the X's. So as you can see here in the frequency table and replacement table, there's an X for some letters, and that's just something that they're going to include in the fractionated Morse code. So fractionated has X's, and Morse just has dots and dashes. And fractionated also has the dots and dashes too. So the reason that we have X's is to signify when words or letters end. So after the end of a letter, after the end of a letter, yeah, we have um, 1x. So for example, if I wanted to write the, right, THE, you'd use your Morse code table over here. T's a dash, just a dash. So you'd write T, and then because I finished a letter, you'd put an X. And then you would look at for H, which is four dots. And since you finished another letter, you would put an X and an E. And then after you finish the entire word, you put two X's. So you get two X's like this. So that's the main thing, right? So and after each word, we have to put. It's good to put a slash um running through the letters. So you write THE like this, and then put a slash through it. And then the last thing is the replacement table. It's actually basically a K1. So it starts with your keyword, and then the normal alphabet follows after it. So you go A, B, C, and then because D is used in here and E is used in here, you'd skip those, and F, etc. So it's essentially like a K1 aristocrat table at the bottom, and it's always going to start with the keyword and then A, B, C, D, F. So um, it's you typically going to end with like X, Y, Z or those uncommon letters in the end. It's never going to be shifted within there. Also, um, in Morse code, actually in Morse cipher, there's also possibility of having numbers. So it's kind of rare, and most of the time you can like ignore the possibility of having a number, but sometimes there may be numbers in here, and they have different um uh like um ways to write them in Morse code. Like it's typically longer than the letters themselves. So with the actual cipher, if I wanted to write the, right, I would group it in groups of three. So it would be split up like this. So the dash x dot would be one letter. So that can like be any letter. Same thing with the three dots and x dot x. And that's what you're going to get up here. So S in this case codes to a group of three symbols consisting of dots, dashes, and x's. And that's what you put in your replacement table over here. This is just so that you can encode what this is saying. And um, if you are really thinking about this, there's a possibility. It's always possible to have more. Uh, well, not always. But yeah, always possible to have um, more letters than you have up here. So like in this case, if you have dash dot x, a dash x dot, and then this for the um notice how the each one doesn't necessarily match up to a specific number. Like H, for example, is a dot from X and also three dots from J. So just make sure that you remember that. Um, so yeah, now we can begin solving it. So typically for the ciphers, you're gonna be given a crib. like the clue. So in this case, um, it says the quote starts with INRE. So this could be, they didn't give spaces, so we have to assume that it could be one word or multiple words. So we can try INRE first, and we can also try in and then RE after. And I think those are the only possible combinations. So for INRE as one, I is with that, looking at our table, is two dots. By the way, this is from the Michigan Invitational test. So if you want, you can take a look at this and follow along. Question 12 from that test. So I is two dots. So it'd be like this. N is going to be a dash and a dot. And we end it because it's the end of a letter. And since we can try one word, right? INRE is one word. So then you wouldn't put two X's, just one X. So R is going to be dot dash dot, and then now you can put an X, and then E is going to be dot, and then this. And I'm assuming if this is true, then the word would continue on because INRE by itself isn't a specific word, so we can leave it as one X at the end of here. So now we can just put this into our replacement table and see if it works out with in terms of like where the letters are. So S is up here, and this could be possible if S is a part of the keyword. J is here, here. This also seems possible too. T is here, and yeah, T could also be a part of the keyword, and then D is back over here. So this is not correct because there's no way D would end up over here behind J and all these other letters. The keyword isn't this long, so if anything, D should end up in this range, but it doesn't. So this is probably incorrect. So now I think our best bet is to try splitting it up in two words. So I in, and then RE, and whatever's after that is one word. So we can try that. We have I'm just gonna fill this in because this part's the same as before. And then now, since we have in as one word, we need two X's over here to signify that we finished the word, and I can put a slash through. So IN slash. The slash helps with you to like recognize where the word ends and also where the test grader for the test grader to really understand where the words end to, so it's easy for them to read and check. R is going to be this. X, and then this, and then you would have an X here because we finished the E. So this would be R, and then this would be the E. E is just a dot for cipher. Okay. So now we can put this into our thing again. So S is in the same spot. Same thing with J. So now T is going to be back here, which makes sense as well. And then D now is going to be in between early on over here, which also makes sense. So now the entire cipher is basically like just using your replacement table to find out more letters, and then also plugging them into here, and then like sort of guessing what could come after. So we have two options to do to go from here, two ways to go from here. So first we could try filling in words letters in here, or we could try putting all of the S, J, T, and D letters that we know into here. So I could fill in like dot X dot over here and just continue doing that. So first I'm gonna take a look at the bottom and see if I can fill in any letters. So this is probably the keyword, these first few, and then we have D and then J. So in between D there's E, F, G, H, I. So we have one less spot here. So we don't have enough for all these five. We only have 4 spots, 5 letters. So one of these letters has to be in the keyword. So we can't do anything about that. And then sort of at the end here, we have T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So that fits perfectly. So none of these letters can be in the keyword. It has to be um, D, U, V. Yeah, so it has to be these letters at the end. And then J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. Yeah, so there's a lot of words in this gap that are in the keyword. So might as well just leave that blank. So now we can go in and fill in the rest of our um table here. Like ciphertext here. So I'm just gonna go kind of fast because it's just filling it in based on our table. So this is a C. We don't have the F. Z is gonna be XX dash. We don't have R, and this also means that it's gonna be the end of a end of a word, and also if you have two X's, that means you can never have three X's. So that means F has to end with um a dot or a dash. You can never have three X's in a row. W is X dash dash, and we have U. So this is M and E. And then C again. This is also the end of a word. S, D, T we have. So this is dot, dash, dot. So that's going to be R. We don't have O. C, M. We have C again. Usually if you're given in with your crib, if you're given like the Morse fraction for a letter that's towards the end, most likely, since these letters are really uncommon, you can probably fill in these sort of quickly at the beginning, and then like fill the ciphertext after with all the letters that you know for sure. So we have N, B, D. We have D. And J. Okay, so for the N, right? Typically, sometimes the question will tell you how many X's there are at the end, but it doesn't have to. So sometimes you can end like, even though it's an end of a word, you can end without two X's. So in this case, that's the case because you have you have a word here, right? But there's only one X at the end. Sometimes the question will say like zero X's at the padding at the end. So that means like there's no X's at the end of it. Sometimes it'll say one X. That's this case, and sometimes it'll have two X's at the end of it. So just make sure that if the question tells you that you use it, and if it doesn't, that you're open to the possibility of having multiple, like one of those three combinations. So if it doesn't give it to you, then it's best to test out and see which one works. Similar to how I did up here, because I didn't know whether this was one word or if it was two separate words, right? But because I tested and found that D was sort of at the end, I knew that it had to have been two words. So now we just have to sort of brute force this and then figure out the rest of it. So this is kind of the hard part, trying to figure out what everything is. So the first thing that draws attention to me is this first phrase here. So you have in and then you have another word. So and this is F. This is two F's together. So if F appears, F can either appear in this spot, or in the keyword somewhere up here. E is likely a pretty common letter, so I'm going to assume for now that E appears in the keyword. E is going to appear in the keyword. So then I'm going to try F over here in this spot for now. Let's see if that works. So we have dot and then two X's. So this isn't a word because you have two x's and you just end off the word like this. So that's definitely not correct. So now I'm going to try f in this spot over here. So that's dot x dash and dot x dash. So that gives you e, n, and t. So this is definitely correct in recent. So that makes sense. So that means we know e is in the keyword, and this has to be g, h, I. So we've unlocked a lot of new letters that we can fill in now. So I'm just going to go quickly through the text and do that. So this is an e at the end. P, D, C, N, another G, F over here. Okay. So now we don't really have too many other options, right? So we're gonna have to sort of figure this out, what word this is. So in continuing with the top part, we have in recent. So there's not many things that you can put after this that have like em in it. Like in recent what? Like it has to be like something like in recent times, or yeah, something like in recent times. So if I was doing this during the test, I would try putting that first. So that makes sense because if you have t here, t uh is just a dash, so that makes sense. And r would have to be an x, and then for I it's two dots. So that fits perfectly in here because you have t x I x m x e, and then s is three dots, so that also fits. So this is probably correct. And now I'm gonna put it into the table. So yeah, r definitely makes sense over here. Okay, so m is probably part of the keyword then, and then yeah, those are the two new letters we unlocked. So I'm gonna fill in those two as well. So r is this. So now we have in recent times the, and m is three dots. So this is h. Same thing here. Oh, sorry. This is a. That's different. Okay. Three dots. Okay. Okay. R C M over here. Oh, and we have R. So this word ends here, and then we have this H, and because okay, so this the word ends here. So, but you can put a slash there or there. M here again. And this one I think is B. Yeah. Oh, we have F here. I didn't see this. Yeah. So that's about what we can do now. So we just have to kind of do the same thing again. So notice how we put an M here, right? So we can try seeing what letters can go in here, knowing that. So we have J, K, L, no M, N, O, P, Q, R. So that fits perfectly. So now we've basically got our entire replacement because since that fits. So make sure you keep like looking back here because after you know where some letters go, there if these open spots like just now we had, since I'm using the keyword we know what to put in this spot in the replacement. So J K L M N O P Q. Yeah. So now we can like fill in most of this. So we don't have B. O is here. So this is A and S. So this is probably phrase, I'm thinking, because that's the only thing that would fit. And plus P is 4 characters, dot dash dash dot. So that fits perfectly here too. So that means B is here, which also makes sense. So this is probably C, unless B is a part of the keyword. So we have to be careful. Sometimes we have to. Typically, I'll put a star here if I'm sort of guessing here, because B could be a part of the keyword because it's super close to it. So, but I think it's not, because I don't think it would end with um a B, right, or something like that. So I think it's BC. We know H. Okay, so now you're gonna see this and you'll be alarmed because all of the letters have only 4 characters and this one has 5. So if you see this, don't freak out. Just make sure that like you didn't make a mistake. So typically if I see like more than 4 in a row, then I'll just check to make sure I didn't make a mistake. And in this case, I don't think I did because literally everything fits so perfectly. So that means this is one of the rare cases where we have a number. So this dash dot 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 is a 6. And then same thing with numbers. After you finish the number, you put an X. And then, so we have K as well. And this is 7. So it's referring to 6, 7, basically. We have C. So this is H, A, and then S, 3 dots. And then I is this. So dash dot is a C. N is this. This would also have been a like similar case with like the F here. Since we knew F appeared twice, we could like sort of test it out quickly instead of thinking about 2 different letters. Same thing here. So like if you didn't sort of get this part, you could, since you know the words ended here, you could try like n different possibilities for n, and then you get it probably. So you have OME has become, so the phrase 6, 7 has become, and then B we know now. P, N is this, so PO, and then P again, so probably popular. Let me just check. So if you're trying to do this fast, you can probably guess it. So this is definitely popular. And typically what I'll do is I'll just check the last one and just make sure that whatever it is, it lines up. So in this case, O is this. So we have dot dash dot, which is R. So this is most definitely popular. And then what I'll do at the end is I'll just make sure that like there's a dash in between every single word, because sometimes you never know, your event supervisor or whoever's grading your test might not give it to you if they don't know where the word ends. So just make sure that you have the slashes through everything. And yeah, so I think I have everything, and this is probably correct. So this is probably when I'd like move on to the next cipher during the test. So yeah, I hope that helped you understand the fractionated Morse cipher. Oh, one quick thing. Let me just fill in this keyword. So it's not required to fill in this, but let me see. So we have an E and we have a A. So it's probably like Mesa or something like that. That's probably what it is. Okay, yeah. So I hope this helped you understand the fractionated Morse cipher. And let me know if there's any other ciphers or Science Olympiad events that you want me to cover. In my YouTube channel description, there's a Google form for you to fill out. If like, it's a short Google form. If you have any video suggestions or videos or topics that you want me to make. Yeah, thank you for watching.